Breaking news, Reconstruction has ended for multiple reasons. One of the reasons being that these people exchanged money through fraudulent loans and grants. All classes took part in this corruption. Another reason Reconstruction ended is because of the many acts of violence in
the South.
The KKK targeted victims by circling their homes and then dragging them out and killing them. The next reason is because Democrats regained power. When Hayes claimed victory, even though Tilden had the popular vote, Congress decided to make a commission that was mostly full of Democrats, which led to the Compromise of 1877. This compromise is Democrats' agreement to give Hayes victory even though he didn't win. Lastly, the federal troops from the South were pulled out, causing Reconstruction to end. They were no longer able to keep the peace. And now we go to Jesse and Kimberly for the failures of Reconstruction.
Issues for the South. Something called Black Code, which was the demoralization of black freemen in pretty much an act of what was known as slavery without chains by some people, in acts such as land ownership, labor contracts, and even restricted right to vote. Continuing.
Okay. Alright. So, Jesse, bitterness remains in the South. White Southerners still remain bitter towards the federal government and the Republican Party, and the South is really slow to industrialize. After federal troops were withdrawn, Southern states government and terrorist organization denied African Americans the right to vote. And the black and white Southerners remain caught up in the cycle of poverty. Racist attitudes towards African Americans continue in both South and North. Back to you, Jesse.
The cycle of property debt had to do with both whites and blacks being unable to afford their right to own land, in which case they would go to a plantation and work. And since they could not pay off the housing and food required for them to live there, they were in a constant circle of debt, meaning they could not leave because they had a contract saying that they could not leave until they paid off their debt, which they never could because of the actual fact of housing and food. Continuing.
What? Oh, alright. Alright. So the urbanization and industrialization was slow in the North. North is striving with I'm sorry, it was slow in the South, not in the North. The North is striving with economy and industrialization. The South, on the other hand, is having a hard time recuperating from the war that they lost. Factories aren't making finished goods such as furniture and other stuff. Most of the South's post-war industrial growth comes from cotton. Therefore, the cotton is being sold to the North, and the North uses that cotton to make other finished products. And so, the big profits is going to the North instead of the South. And the South is still in ruins. Back to you, Jesse.
Racist attacks by the new white supremacy group known as the Ku Klux Klan, or KKK for short, have been terrorizing, pillaging, and even murdering their subjects, mainly targeted to African Americans, but also to do with white landowners. They lynch, skin, and even burn their subjects alive. They're still on the loose right now. Okay.
Oi, você quer? Tá bom.
Continuing.
Tá bom, beijo. Beijo, tchau, tchau. Alright, so where were we? The African Americans denied the right to vote. But why? Why did they deny the right to vote? The answer is the African Americans were really scared of the Southerners. They were scared to go to vote because they were scared that the Southerners were gonna do something to them because they were racist and they don't like black people. Alright, and if they tried to vote, the people from the South would respond with violence. So that's why they didn't want to vote. Back to you, Jesse.
And that's all we have for now. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go monitor an interview.
I'm Lena Hosaka, and I'm going to be talking about the success of Reconstruction. One of the big successes of the Reconstruction was the Union was finally restored. There was also economic growth and modernization for the South. One of the modernizations for the South were their railroads were totally rebuilt and 3,300 miles of new track were laid. The railroads turned southern villages into towns and towns into cities. The 14th Amendment was ratified in 1868 and it guaranteed citizens equal protection under the law. The 15th Amendment stated that no citizen shall be denied the right to vote. This was passed in February 1869. Freedmen's Bureau was created in 1865 and it helped black Southerners adjust to freedom. The Bureau gave out clothing, medical supplies, and millions of meals. More than 250,000 African American students received their first formal education in Bureau schools. That's it. Let's go through it. That's it.
Go. I'm Jacob Lapp. I'm going through the cotton fields of Alabama looking for a freed slave. I don't know why they'd be here, but I'm looking for them. Oh, there's one now. Hello, sir. Are you a freed slave?
Yes.
Well, can we interview you?
Yes.
Okay. So, how do you feel about being free?
To be honest, I feel like the happiest man in Alabama right now.
Wow. Some strong stuff. Well, what were you doing before you were free?
I was working as a slave in a cotton plantation. My master put me in the fields where I was forced to pick up cotton. It was really hard work.
I bet it was. I mean, I think we can all say we've been there once in a while. Did you help with the war at all?
You bet I did. I fought in Gettysburg for my freedom, and that's why my freedom feels so much better right now.
Wow. Veteran. Hero. Hero to the blacks. You're amazing. Well, do you have a family?
Yes, I do, sir. 2 boys, 1 daughter, and a loving wife.
Well, how are you going to support them?
I guess I gotta find a job. I have to feed my family and give them shelter.
Oh, as every man should. Well, where will you go? Where will you find a job?
I'm going to bring my family to the north. I have heard of many job opportunities there.
Oh, well, how are you going to get there?
I have a friend who got train tickets and he has given them to me so my family can survive.
Wow, you have one hell of a friend. Well, from Jacob, Tyrone, to all the newly freed slaves, thank you.
And that's the news.